This is the journey to Nidavir. Last year, Loot Studios did the Journey to Valhalla, where I did that massive Vikings diorama. Now, what excites me is they're now adding to that universe, but they're introducing dwarves into this setting. You know me, I absolutely love dwarves. There's 3 clans available for purchasing on the 12th of December, and you'll be able to go and purchase them all separately or all together as part of a pack. For the best discount prices, you're best looking in this first week to get the best price for the Journey to Nidavir. In Nidavir, there's 3 dwarven clans. I'm going to be doing the more hill dwarf types, and with every faction comes some terrain. Now, the faction that I've chosen is the Wugnar. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I probably haven't. But what sort of breaks the tradition with these type of dwarves is they're like wizards, which we don't normally get dwarven wizards in fantasy lore. This excites me because a lot of games that I play, we're starting to add wizards to dwarven factions. So I wanted a gaming piece that I could use on the table for roleplay or mass battle games that acts as sight blocking but also functional. This wizard's tower is also a dice tower. I was very shocked at how well it printed. The pre-supports on these files are unreal, and if you've used Loot before, you know their models and everything are just absolutely gorgeous. It goes together really well, and with it being hollow for it being a dice tower, it didn't use that much resin. It did take just under a week to print all the parts, because it is a good size, but that's why I want to add this as a very functional piece of terrain to a gaming table, not just to use as a dice tower in a role-playing game. My problem with a lot of dice towers that look nice, they're normally really out of scale, but they work well as a dice tower. This is very functional as a dice tower, but it's also a good size for a terrain piece, for a fantasy tabletop game or your role-playing games. And that's why I liked it. And what's really nice about these new dwarves from Loot is because they normally go for a realistic proportion because they're doing humans and things. But with the dwarves, they're very like what we're used to. They're very big hands, big heads, and they're going to fit in very well with whatever game system you play. Because trying to find dwarven wizards is pretty hard. Now we've got loads of them, so that's good. And the fact that they scale quite well with the terrain, even though it is a dice tower, it looks like some old school fantasy building. And I really like that, and it's going to add a lot of character to my gaming table once this is done. If you are interested in getting this, check all the links below, guys, because they're available now, and just don't miss it, they're amazing. Now for painting, I'm going to go at this with some coloured spray cans from Colourforge. Spray it black, and then I hit it with a brown for the base coat, and then a highlight on top of that with like a desert sandy stone colour. The reason I'm doing this is so that's a nice colour for like the stone, the wooden roof tiles. It's a nice base coat for most of it, like even the plaster render and things. And gold covers quite well over like a dull sandy brown. And as you can tell, that makes all the details pop out very nice. I'm starting to get very, very excited about painting this, because once it was all primed, it really starts to look amazing. Now for painting things like the shingles on the roof and the wood parts, I'm just using a really dark brown contrast paint or speed paint, whatever you want to call them, over all the roof. The reason I'm doing this is it's so big, there's quite a lot of texture there. I don't see the point of blocking colours in when we can just wash this down and we can add some dry brushing and stuff later. I'm really happy with the details on this model, so using things like contrast paints just to get the bulk of the work done for you, it more or less paints itself. And that's what I like about terrain like this, is it's big and bold. You can really just roughly paint it and they start to look good very quickly. Just using solid block colours like the strong gold and getting them nice sharp contrasts from like the dark brown to the bright gold, and then we can go in there and stipple like the plaster work with some really bright sand colours, and it's already starting to look really cool. I like painting with a muted paint palette, as you know, so doing the rocks and everything, all I'm doing is getting a flat dry brush and putting a very, very pale grey over that desert sandy stone colour, and that just picks out the top of highlights, and it starts to look like a really warm stone. We will bring this down though, because it was a bit too bright compared to the rest of the building. And all I'm doing now is just throwing that black wash all over everything. Black wash works well on gold, it works well on the brown, it also works well on the stone, because we've done it so bright and it's really warm and it's got browns and everything in there. That black wash just ties it all together. Now I'm going to base this, because this like sort of themed on like more like hill dwarves, I'm going to put this on a small mound. Now the reason I'm putting this on a small mound is when I'm using it as a gaming piece, it's still modular. So if I want to put this on a bigger hill as well, I can do. If I want to just use it as a standalone dice tower for D&D, I can do. I don't want to make it too big and bulky, because I want to use it for multiple things. So making a modular terrain set like this is a great idea. All I'm doing is just cutting some foam board and sticking that down to some 3mm plywood. And to stick all the foam board pieces together, I'm just using the fast dry basing glue from out of range just to stick them together and print it on each layer, and then I just put some weight on it for 20 minutes or so, just so it grabs. Now I've stopped using rock moulds for multiple reasons. One, because they add weight. Two, casting them up when you need a lot, it takes a long time and you've got a forward plan. Geekgaming Scenics, we've now been selling corkbark rock faces for a while, and I can't really tell much of a difference. They're really easy to work with, they're very easy to cut, and the fact that I've just got bags of them sitting around, I can just grab them, stick them on, and they're as good as just rock moulds. They're just a lot cleaner, they're as strong, and they're a lot easier to work with because you can cut these down very easy. Bark, it's a very old school technique, but we've gone through and sorted them all out so you can get the right size and right looks for whatever needs you want, and we do them in multiple sizes. So check them out as well. Now for linking all this together and getting the ground formation, modelling compound. It's what I love using, it's just the easiest, quickest thing, and with the benefit to using modelling compound on a piece like this, it solidifies the model to the base, it also solidifies all them rock moulds together, and it makes it very strong and very, very durable. Plus, you can texture this, you can sculpt this, you can shape this to however you need it. And it doesn't add too much weight, but it also makes it very strong. Now for doing the scenic side of this, I'm going very simple with it because there's not a lot of space to do a great deal. So all I'm doing is just putting a very thin brown coat on there, dry brushing it with the same bright grey, but I'm going very light with that so I don't have to do any washing or anything with the size of it. And then just stipple the fast dry basing glue in very random patches. The idea for this was I'm going to add some static grass in patches and then work around with base covering. The problem was I forgot to charge the battery in my applicator, so it was just falling out like a sieve. So I just threw the static grass on by hand, and then I thought I'll add some longer lengths of his newly made tufts. These new tufts are loads of random different shapes and sizes and colours, and we need to update the photographs on the website, but these will be the tufts that you're getting if you buy the tufts from us at the moment. Adding them added that height and the extra patchiness, and once I got all them tufts on, I just added my favourite base ready, which is pine forest ground cover. And I just thought, just to add to the aesthetic of this build, I would put a couple of pine trees around as well, just to sort of add a bit more greenery and different heights to the piece, so it's a real line of sight blocking terrain piece. And once that's all come together, it's absolutely amazing. I've really loved this project. I can't get over these big releases that Loot's doing at the moment. Gorgeous models, gorgeous terrain pieces. If you're interested in any of the different things that they're doing, check the links below, guys, and see if there's anything there for you. I just really loved the wizards and the dice tower. I thought it'd fit in exactly with what I do with my gaming, and the fact that I've made a really nice terrain piece that's functional and I can also use it as proper terrain as well is a very nice addition. Thanks to Loot Studio for sponsoring this video, and I hope you've learnt a little bit of something. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you again for the next video. Love, love, love.